You know who I saw the other day?
Who?
I know that you've often started this show with these are the AFL players I saw, but I actually saw our former producer, Jack,
Did you?
the other day. Yeah.
How is he?
Didn't ask him.
Didn't ask him? Good.
No, but what I did do is that, when you said you ran into Brock McLean and Michael Freda, you didn't ask him to be on the podcast. I asked Jack. I asked Jack to be on the show. He just said no. Welcome to the round 16 episode of the Magoos. Everybody out there, Ben, welcome again.
Thank you very much. Welcome as well to you.
Yeah, good to be here, as always. As always, welcome to your own house.
Thank you very much. It's heating up at the moment, the footy, that is.
So the house, isn't it?
The house is quite
pretty cold
this time of the year.
Yeah.
But,
it's pretty cold, but the footy's great.
Yeah,
so.
It's back. People have been questioning for a while about the state of the game. I don't even like that sentence, to be honest, but I think after this round, I think that's gone to bed a bit, don't you reckon?
Yeah, they're sort of, I think any plans that they might have had to change a few rules. I mean, I know it's only one weekend, but yeah, they might have just sort of had to take a little bit of a back seat and just think, oh, yeah, maybe. Because when it's played at its best, it's still as good as ever, isn't it? That I actually went to Essendon, North Melbourne. I did, yes. There. I was at Essendon, North Melbourne, and that was a game of footy, if I've ever seen one.
Just had everything,
it was great. It was
bulk goals.
Yeah, and it was like North Melbourne get up by 4 goals, and then you sort of think, now they're going to keep Essendon arm's length, and then Essendon in front within 10 minutes, and then Essendon took over the ascendancy, and both those sides were playing some really, really good footy. So it was actually quite good to watch.
Yeah,
from
had
a neutral
heaps of
point
goals.
Of view.
There was
35
as well.
35 goals, bit of heat,
heaps of heat.
Good players doing good things.
Yeah,
it was a really good game of footy. But then, I mean, you date back to the Thursday night game, the 1v2.
Yeah,
Richmond Sydney was a cracker as well, and then the Dogs Geelong the night after.
Yeah,
it was a lot of good footy. Yeah, there were teams that even some of the lower light teams in terms of Brisbane winning over in Perth or dominating Freo over there.
Then Adelaide's comeback against West Coast.
Yeah, so it was just a really good round of footy.
Does that mean this week's going to be an absolutely shite round?
I don't know. I mean, there's a few good games. Obviously, we've got Sydney Geelong on the Thursday
night.
Yep. The grand final rematch, Richmond Adelaide, which I still think Adelaide are sort of starting to creep back into a little bit of form.
They're here and there, aren't they? But
it doesn't really bill as the first 11th game. It is. I think it's a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Richmond at the MCG.
Could
makes it tricky, doesn't it? And then Sunday we've got a couple of huge games. The in-form Essendon, which you can't even hide your smile, versus Collingwood, who are second on the ladder now.
Yeah.
Can we just stop and think what our world would be like if it's a Richmond-Collingwood grand final?
If you said that last week, I said that might have been a bit of a maybe. But I think with Lyndon Dunn doing his knee out for the rest of the year, he's not their best player, but he's a big piece
important.
of their puzzle.
He's definitely important.
He's a very important player.
I mean, I just think that it's so open this year that, I mean, while again I don't think Collingwood will even finish in the top 4, I think they might still struggle to make the 8 personally, but they probably will make the 8 now. But I still think they'll finish in the bottom part of the 8.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, just imagine if we're subjected to a Richmond Collingwood. There's no point even watching it because it's just either. Although as a Richmond member, I mean,
you might be able to go.
I'll probably be able to go,
aren't you? How is that membership going? Are you using it?
They send me a lot of emails.
Straight in the junk.
So I've had to unsubscribe from
That's where they get you.
But I can get tickets and stuff. Like, I mean, I think I'll probably go to Richmond Essendon and take my lovely girrifriend. She's a big Essendon supporter. Yeah, round 22. Yeah, Friday night, they sent me an email the other day. He said you get 2 complimentary tickets.
They absolutely blew us out of the water the other week. But
so I mean, it's different.
But and then after that, we've got West Coast versus the Giants.
The Giants,
as you would call them,
the sleeping Giants. Don't prompt me. I know my opinions.
Do you want me to hold
just because I said it just before. Say sleeping Giants. Sleeping Giants. Yeah, well, I said a couple of weeks ago that I was still keen for them to make the 8. Now they've jumped into 6th, and even though Jeremy Cameron's got an extended stint on the sidelines, I still think that I think they'll beat West Coast over there.
That draw might just get them over the line.
Yeah, 12 and a half, 13 and a half, somewhere in that realm. If it is the 12 and a half and
because
13's the asking rate, they might get they might sneak in with the half.
Yeah.
But for all their for all the Giant bashing and their bad form and all this, that, the other.
Only took one win to get them back there.
Yeah, being a non-Victorian club, I think they sort of can go under the radar even when they do win. You know, they win a couple of lesser light games, and they as they did, I think, against the Bulldogs a couple of weeks ago. But
so they're 2 points clear of 7th, and then at 7 to 10 are all on equal points.
Yeah, and then the chasing pack is in good form.
Adelaide and Essendon,
Adelaide
just behind the game. Yeah,
so it's still wide open, isn't it? And it's going to be very, very interesting to watch. It's great, isn't it?
I love it. I'm actually,
some of the, some teams got some good news last week, and reportedly another team up north got some really bad news with Tom Lynch on the move.
Just quietly, did you put your
Didn't put it on silent. So it'll just keep going. I'm a very busy man. Tom Lynch reportedly told the Gold Coast he's out come season's end. He's said, well, where's he going is one question, but apparently they asked him for an early answer, and that never goes well, I don't think. I remember Brent Harvey asked North Melbourne for an early answer on his career. Do you think people hear about it in the media and they sort of lose their nerve a little bit?
Well, Brent Harvey, it was the other way around, isn't it? He
asked the club, and the club said,
but now as a younger player in Lynch, it's the club asking you.
Yeah, the club saying, because they're obviously hearing a lot of external noise, he's going, I don't see why does it matter if they know now he can't leave? It's not like the NRL, how he can leave now.
Yeah.
Why does it?
How long is he out for with
just playing for life with that? Oh, he's going to miss the end of the
Okay, so maybe that's why they've asked, because it's not going to affect his playing.
Yeah, but I just don't see... obviously you don't want to, you need to try and start to plan for life after him, but what can you do between now and then that is... So if the well-respected opinion now is that he's leaving, what if something happens that changes his mind? 98% he's going to leave, but what if there's something that ticks? The Gold Coast win the next, 6 games, and they do it in impressive fashion, and, they start the show, and he goes, actually, I'll stay here. But I just don't see what you get out of asking him. But
I think the only thing you would get is that if it was a no, at least they can go, all right, we need a forward now.
Yeah.
So we need to start looking at
recruit
or see what we need to go for in the draft, all those sort of
and things. Apparently Stephen May could be on the way out too, so they lose their 2 co-captains, and that's the age-old question, do you jump before you push, or push before you jump, I should say. Do you trade him this year rather than lose him to free agency next year? Apparently Collingwood are big into him. Yeah. Darcy Moore?
Maybe, straight swap. I don't know. But if you're...
I'd rather have Stephen May than Darcy Moore. But the age,
I would too. Yeah. But do you think if you say both co-captains and Gold Coast are already on the chopping block in terms of media and outside noise, do you reckon someone like Gill, the big dogs, have to step in somewhere along the line and go, if both those trades were to happen, we're only going to get more heat for Gold Coast because they've just lost their co-captains as well as Gary from last year.
Yeah, Wayne Carey said that he'd go up there with 2 big padlocks and just shut the doors.
Not let anyone in.
Yeah, no, that's the end. Just lock them up. That's it. Gold Coast
I
finished.
love that opinion, but
look, I don't know. I mean, the AFL won't get involved to that. I don't think that there's anything that they can do.
You are popular, aren't you? Yeah,
just keep buzzing over there. But it's very interesting. But on the flip side, people say that free agency will kill the loyalty or whatever. Jordan De Goey turns down big money to stay at Collingwood for 2 years, and Mark Murphy signs to finish his career as a Blue, as a one-club player.
There is loyalty.
Contrast to popular opinion.
Okay, yours. Yeah. How do you feel about that as the biggest fan of Mark Murphy?
I think it's good that he stayed. I didn't think he would. I didn't think he needed to. I think it's good he stayed. I mean, in the end, it's nice to see that there is that little bit of loyalty because he could have easily gone to it. And I guess weighing it up is that nothing's guaranteed. So he couldn't go somewhere and just. It's not as simple as just if I go there, I'll get a flag. If I stay here, I'll be loyal. Yeah. So he obviously weighed it all up, and which is good. Good. I listened to a different podcast that wasn't ours that had Scott Penderbury on it, which was really good. And he was talking about how stability is the key ingredient to success in his mind. And he was talking about with Nathan Buckley as well, how he feels that's by keeping Buckley, that's how they've sort of come good this year and turned it around because of the stability. I think, to have, whether or not Murphy's a captain next year or not, to still have him around the club, I think will be a good thing for Carlton.
Younger boys.
And the young group just to sort of, sometimes only takes, 1 or 2 older guys to bite the bullet.
It's very selfless from him as well, because he knows he's probably not going to win a flag in his career now. But it's nice that he knows that he could somehow help them propel to the next chapter.
Yeah, so I mean, as many know, I've been quite critical of Mark Murphy over the journey, and I'm still not sure he's the player that Carlton ever thought he would be. But, I mean, yeah, it was nice to see him resign, and the same with Jordan De Goey, whilst it's just a 2-year deal, and I'm sure we'll have the same circus in 2 years' time, pending performance. I think that, it's good to just turn down the big money for now, especially with Jordan De Goey, because he certainly owed.
It's good from Jordan as well. 2 years is very clever because they're probably windows in the next couple of years as well.
Yeah, so he gets a good look.
Especially if they land Lynch. If they can land Lynch, that's a huge get for Collingwood.
So what do you reckon, Ben? Just before we get into it, where's Lynch going? Give us a club.
Collingwood.
Okay, I was going to say Collingwood too, but it'll be Collingwood, Richmond, or Hawthorn. Apparently Sloane's going Hawthorn, so I'll say Collingwood as well for Lynch.
Yeah, I reckon Sloane's going Essendon, but that's just
interesting. All right, well, let's get into the Magoos round 16 episode.
Just before we do, real quick. Well, we've already been into it for a while. We've got from last week.
Okay, great.
Got the Carlton draft, 10% off merch if you use the code word Magoos1.
Magoos1, don't forget.
On their socials, the Carlton draft.
All right, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, Benny, we're getting stuck into it. We're going right off the top with some of our best. The Magoo's moment of the week.
Magoo's moment.
We'll go to the Magoo's moment where I'm going to give a special mention, an honourable mention to Sil Rioli, who retired earlier this week from the AFL, somewhat prematurely. As we all know, he was back in Darwin due to some family commitments, and he was back there, and so he's made the call. He's come back and retired. I can't give him the Magoo's moment of the week because he's not a Magoo's.
Well, I was going to just say 189 games, 275 goals. 4 premierships,
and
1 Norm,
and a Norm Smith,
and 3 All-Australians.
And a lot of special performances.
He's
as far away from the Magoos.
He's not very Magoos, is he?
I couldn't give him the Magoos moment, but I think it was worth touching on.
It was.
A fantastic career. And I know,
good on you, Cyril.
And I know a lot of Hawks people are disappointed that he's walked away from the game, but obviously what's best for him and his family at this time. So
good on him.
I think that, he definitely deserves an honourable mention, but the Magoos moment of the week, not to be overshadowed by Cyril because he couldn't win it, goes to former Melbourne captain and number 2 draft pick Jack Trengove, who on the weekend debuted for his new club, Port Adelaide. So he's only played 8 games since 2013 of AFL football.
That's incredible.
For a number 2 draft, he's obviously had all those foot issues that we know about and then a few hamstring issues off the back of that. But something that you may not know that I didn't know that I found out. So this year with the side, he's flown to China, Perth and Tassie with the side as a travelling emergency.
Really?
Hasn't played a game, yeah. So apparently he's been dominating the SANFL. Debuted last week for Port Adelaide against Carlton. 21 touches. I think it was the 6th highest possession winner for the Power.
Good on him.
Did his job, 4 tackles, 13 kicks, all that sort of stuff.
Did he play in the mid or half flank?
A bit more back, I think. I think he was a bit half back, and then rolled through the mid. I wasn't watching the game with an eye for Jack Trengove, but
sorry to put you on the spot.
Was more stressing about Carlton, but and so I feel that it's good to see those guys who the Warriors, the journeyman. He's only 26, so if he can stay fit and he can stay fit and maybe start to produce that level of football that his potential always sort of said he could.
Is he 26? Shit. So was he his captain at like 19 or something?
Yeah, he was like, I think they were both 20 and 21, weren't they?
Wow.
Grimes and Trengove.
Yeah.
Incredible. And now they're both
8 games over since 2013, was it? Yeah.
They were out of the system, both of them, until Trengove obviously was an delisted free agent to Port Adelaide. So, it was great to see Jack back on an AFL arena and hope to see more of it in the future. So that is our Magoo's moment of the week.
Well done. Congratulations, Jack. That's huge. That's just like a lot of mental strength, isn't it? 8 games from 2013.
Yeah, 5 years.
Like I think I've actually played more games than that, and football was very far behind me now. But if I had a brain like his, just that mental strength, I'd still be sitting on this couch talking to you.
If only you had a brain. Because
just the brain is all I needed. So we rolling straight into. Because we have a special treat, don't we? We have to.
Yeah, of course. We can't leave the people watching this and listening to this right now are only here for our guest coming up in segment 3. So I think you're only here for the guest.
I'm actually only here for this guest. It's a huge
so you better
guest.
get into your
I will. Yeah, Cane Corns of the week for round 16. For those just tuning in for the first time, Cane Corns of the week is
given to. Awarded by you, produced by you, founded by you. To someone like a shock jock sort of big noter, someone who sort of pumps up their own tyres and is just a bit painful and everyone knows it, but they're happy to be that way.
Right.
Almost,
yeah. Yeah. Well, in that case, the winner this week doesn't quite fit.
Just a wanker sort of thing.
Yeah, dick move.
Just publicly, everyone collectively sort of shakes their head.
So you're calling Kane Cornes a wanker?
No, absolutely.
Wow, you heard it here first. Jake Lambert thinks Kane Cornes is a wanker.
Absolutely not.
Got him trapped. Anyway, Kane Cornes round 16. There was a lot happening in the NBA this week for a lot of trades. Mm-hmm. Trades are huge over there. They're not like over here where someone might leave. They're just left, right, and centre. LA is topped up with LeBron James and a couple others to go with him. But the big one, and it's going to be a duel, Kane Cornes of the week. It's going to DeMarcus Cousins and Adam Silver. Now, DeMarcus Cousins, was playing for the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yep.
Top 3 centre in the league. Unfortunately, did a Achilles during the year, which I still think he's young enough to get back to his best.
27, yeah.
Yeah, has just signed a 1-year deal to the Golden State Warriors.
On like a quarter of the money or something he was getting.
$5.3 million over 1
And I think he was on 17 maybe at the Pelicans in his latest deal, but was offered more.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know a thing about NBA, the Warriors just swept the Cavaliers in the finals, 4-0. Arguably one of the best teams of all time, and have just topped up with one of the best centers in the league. Coward. Absolute cowardice.
Because, so you say Adam Silver's in there as well.
Adam Silver is the commissioner of the NBA for letting it happen.
Yeah, but if a guy is not the climate that it's all created, that, he's taken, they're fitting it into the salary cap, he's taking his money, but is it more, so he's going there a pit stop to get a ring. Yeah. But is it not the culture that's being created by when we compare Jordan to, Kobe and then to LeBron and those sort of guys, is that they then get measured on rings. So,
I totally agree.
So it's just interesting to see that, and there's better ways for DeMarcus Cousins to do it. For instance, I would have preferred to see him go to LA with LeBron or go to Boston.
He was offered money from Boston,
declined,
and from New Orleans for 2 years.
Yeah, so, I think that would have been a bit more of a respectable move. Yeah. But so he's going to go there for a year. They're most likely, I don't like the Warriors, but I hope this tips him over the edge. But, so he's going to go there for a year, probably collect a ring, and then just get paid huge money. And he could still go to a Boston. And then
if he has a good season there, he might get a max deal somewhere else, which I think is his thought process.
Yeah,
but it's still
it might even be at LA. Might be with LeBron. But,
it might be.
We
won't know for another
I agree.
year.
But, are the rings, are they important enough to a legacy? Obviously, everyone wants to win one, but, the thing is with NBA, it's a lot of individuals sort of, not to get too far off our Magoo topics here, but right. If it's a lot of individuals, I guess, that are always trying to leapfrog the person who's rated above them or ranked above them in all-time players, even in current-day players. So if he goes, has a good year, gets a ring, he gets elevated above... say...
everyone without one.
Anthony Davis, for instance, who we played with at the Pelicans.
Yeah. But people are saying it doesn't count on social media and stuff now.
Yeah, which, it's the balance of, do we want to judge them by...
Yeah, well, that's where the culture starts.
Is the rings, is that your defining quality? He's good, he was a really good player for so long, never won a ring, he's not an all-timer.
Well, this debate's only sort of just started since LeBron James started getting... closer and closer to the statistics of Michael Jordan. Yeah. And there's a lot of MJ fans out there, myself included. I think most people are. They're very insecure about this LeBron James being a good basketball. So the only thing they can cling to is that Jordan has 6 rings.
Yeah.
So there's that much hate all around the world. Yeah. You can't blame someone like LeBron James going, well, fuck. I've got everything else. Now I just need the chips. Yeah. So I'm just going to go get those chips. Then what will the haters say? So it's like this culture of, like you're saying, like Dwayne Wade's got the same amount of rings as LeBron James, but who's probably go down as a better player once they're both done?
Yeah,
LeBron. So it's sort of like, well, as you said, do the chips really count?
Yeah.
Of course they do.
I think that it's not the same as winning 1, winning 6, whatever. But I think once you win one, you've shown you can win one. I don't know. I just think it's like, you want to win as many as you can. But once you've won one, you've proven that you've got the medal to win one, or you can put it together to win one. So I think that then if you played on a really bad side the whole time and you were really dominant but you never got anywhere, I think then, that's a defining factor in a player's legacy of any sport.
Yeah.
But absolutely. I also feel that, I'm just not sure that the overall rings, but premierships, championships, pennants, whatever, Grand Slams, is that tennis is a bit different. Actually, I shouldn't have said Grand Slams, but it should be the first defining factor in ranking players of their overall career,
especially when it's a team sport.
Yeah, very true, very true. But
if you're playing in Wimbledon, then
well, that's the thing.
You probably go by.
Which is great. Wimbledon's back on now.
Oh, I couldn't get less.
Great for multis.
Great for multis.
Anyway,
DeMarcus Cousins and Adam Silver joint Kane Corns of the week.
You've spoken about
Snake.
Where do you think those guys will line up in your Kane Corns of the year?
Well, I think DeMarcus might take the ruck. It might be the ruckman. Or do you just put him one out in the square against like a Gillum McLaughlin who won it earlier in the year?
Wouldn't that be a sight we've seen? But while we're talking basketball, how was that brawl the other night? The Australian Philippines. Wasn't that something?
Yeah, and the Luke Longley came out during the week and basically put it all on the Philippines coach, saying that he said for him to go out there and be there's rub and tug, but that was just insane. Sorry, that's Thailand, not Philippines.
Yeah, well, I think
it was insane.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous, wasn't it? I mean, it's just something you just don't really see, not anymore, just ever, like in any sport. And it's just one of those things, isn't it? But just before we get to our guest, who I know is patiently waiting in the green room, the World Cup is up and running. Penalty shootouts send Twitter mad.
Yep.
How can we? Is there a way the AFL can decide games by using a penalty shootout like concept?
Are you?
I'm not necessarily a fan. I just want to bounce it off you. So we can get
well, I would argue that there's probably not enough draws in the game to
Maybe not, but imagine that 2010 grand final, and then Brendan Goddard's got to have a shot from 35.
Yeah,
and then
but we got to spend a whole new weekend getting drunk again.
That's
I loved it, but I understand. I don't know. I think, as we said, it could get GWS a spot in the finals, having that one draw early in the year. I don't know.
Food for thought?
Yeah, I'd say no. I like it the way it is.
Okay, let's get to our guest.
Jake, let me set the scene. The year was 2004. Round 3, Essendon versus West Coast. You had Judd, Cousins, Kerr, Cox. There's under a minute left on the clock. There's a stoppage in Essendon's forward pocket. The scores are level, 131 apiece. Enter James Hird. The ball's thrown up. Andrew McDougall for West Coast goes third man up. Clear hit to the pocket. Justin Murphy picks it up, gets tackled. Handballs to no one. Judd picks up, gets tackled, should have been holding the ball, drops it. Bullen with the cleanest pickup you'll ever see, dishes to James Hird. It's in his hand for 0.2 seconds. Snaps on the boundary, goal. He's won it off his own shoe. Who does he hug? Is it Matty Lloyd, who kicked 8 that day? No. Is it Bullen, who gave him the cleanest hands of all time? No. Was it Adam Ramanauskas, because I just like saying his name? No. It was the luckiest supporter in the world, Drew Wilson.
Okay, Ben, as you so eloquently put in your little intro there, that you stayed up all night recording.
I did.
Joining us now is Drew Wilson. Drew, thanks for joining us.
No worries, boys.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Ben, I know you've been very, very excited about this one.
I'm a little starstruck, actually.
The man that James Hird hugged. Did you ever think he would be in your lounge room?
Not at all. Not at all.
Before we start questioning Drew,
I mean, we've had some great guests on, but I haven't been this starstruck the whole time. So
yeah, very good.
Good to have you.
So I guess we'll start, Drew, from life before the hug of James Hird. Can you take us through that weekend, that day? Did you realise that your life would change forever when you just went to a game of football?
No, definitely not. I just thought I was going to a Essendon West Coast game and was hoping to see the Bombers win and be happy and go on home. But yeah, things change pretty quickly.
They do.
Incredible, wasn't it? So going back through the coverage, obviously you couldn't hear the commentary at the time, but I'm sure you've seen it thousands of times and played it in pubs and all those sorts of things. But Robert Walls called it on the coverage when James Hird was sort of moving towards the pack of, if anyone can do it, James Hird's going to be the man to kick the goal here. Did you sort of think the same thing and just stand up and just be like, I'm ready to hug this man?
Yeah.
Did you sort of get up and go, after you kick this, come over here and I'll give you one?
I think that quarter he was dominating the game. So pretty much if anyone was going to kick the goal, it was going to be Hird. And then, it was a pretty miraculous goal, and I was more just standing up cheering because we hit the front because we were down by so much.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, I got James Hurd in my arms. So I saw him running at me, and giving him a hug.
So you didn't practice that at training on the Thursday night?
Nah.
So you put Drew here in the cone, and then, so you weren't ready? It was
I wasn't ready. Just throwing the arms up in celebration of the goal.
Amazing.
Just what was? Can you even remember the thought process at the time of we've all been to games of footy and had good seats or whatever, but you never think that even the ball's going to come to you or you're standing up celebrating a goal and one of the best players of the modern era and probably your favourite player is just coming because he would have just been looking at you, wouldn't he? You just would have been going like, I'm going to hug this fella.
Like I've been a member for 20 years now and I think I've touched the football once in that pocket and James Hurd, but. Like as I said, I was just looking at the ball. It went through the goals, and then next thing I was literally turned around, and there he was coming at me. So I didn't even see him coming at me. I was just literally standing there, and he was right in my grill.
It's just incredible, isn't it? Did you have any idea that it would become what it has been? Like, I mean, obviously at the time it was like such a great moment, but there's a big mural, for instance, up in AFL House, like of all the moments of the 150 years the game's been going on, and like there you are, you and him like painted by a proper artist as one of the game's most iconic moments. Like, I mean, does that ever hit you as in terms of it's just such a massive moment in the game's history? Like,
it's pretty surreal, I guess. Like after that moment happened, I literally just thought nothing of it. I thought, walk out the stadium and we drove home and thought nothing of it at all. Like, I thought, it's a good moment, but never to the day where I thought like, the fanfare sort of came with it. Like, I didn't think much of it at all, but it was exciting.
Incredible. I'm still starstruck.
It's just remarkable, isn't it? Like, and then, of course, there were the TV ads, Oh, What a Feeling that they did, Dave Lawson and Steve Curry do with James Hurd. Were you ever a sneaky chance maybe to play a cameo?
I was a little disappointed. I didn't play the role as a gardener there.
I mean, you made the moment, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I thought I'd just as an important part of what James Hurd did. So.
I reckon. Could almost sue him, couldn't you? A bit of
some
royalties.
Yeah,
that's mine.
I should have looked into it.
So
James
what
Melling
was...
membership?
Speaking of the media around it, what sort of happened at the time? I mean, because it's crystallised in everyone's mind as an iconic moment. But at the time, obviously, James Hurd had the highly publicised week when he criticised Scott McLaren and got fined the $20,000 for publicly abusing an umpire. So in those couple of days afterwards, was there much fanfare around you in particular?
Not in particular. Like, no one really going for me to come and do interviews and stuff like that, other than, like, as I was saying, I was laying in bed on a Sunday morning watching the Sunday footy show, as you do, and they put up a still photo of the moment and said, if you know this guy, tell him to come into the Channel 9 studios, and I'm sort of just laying there and just going, well, that's me. So, and then
moseyed your way on in.
Yeah, and then I heard Mum and Dad, because I was living at home at the time. Mum and Dad, and they were watching it as well, and they're like, "Oh, you're on TV. They're saying to go into the studio," and the phone was ringing a little bit. So I was like, "Oh," because I wasn't going to go in. I thought, it's a bit of a joke, but no, I followed through, went in, and. Had a little bit of a chat with the panel at the time, and it was a good laugh. So.
Was there any other nuffies trying to line up pretending they were you, and they had the photo and then just checking when you were lying?
Nah,
you're not him.
Nah, just me.
You were saying before off camera that in the Herald Sun tried to do a retrospective piece while you were overseas. Can you talk us through what happened?
Yeah, so it would have been about, I'm going to say, 5 or 6 years after the hug happened, and I'm working at a hotel, and a fellow colleagues come over to me and said, there's someone from Australia's rung the hotel, and in their Canadian accent, and they're like, going, they want to speak to you, and they had no idea who it was, and I sort of took the call, and turns out I was from the Herald Sun, and I just wanted to ask where I was and what I was doing. And
where are they now?
Yeah, pretty much a little...
6 years later.
Yeah, or something like that. I can't remember the exact year. It's been
real busy
maybe
day in the Herald Sun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, and that was a bit surreal as well. Just wasn't expecting that one.
It was just a hug, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
6 years ago.
Exactly.
So we've had... I'm not sure if you're a regular watcher of the show. I'm assuming you are for the sake of this. So we've had Jack Fitzpatrick, who played AFL football, and we've had Paul Robinson from the Carlton Draft, who are a satire page who've got almost 100,000 followers on Facebook.
Yep.
And we've never had more questions from the socials than we have when we announced that you were going to be on the
good.
show. So we're just going to run through a few of them. Obviously, there was a few of the boys who know you quite well.
Yes,
sort of
this will be interesting.
written in. So in terms, there were a few that we couldn't put to air, just from Matt Camelins and the like. So
Yeah,
I'm
sounds about
assuming
right.
that, So in terms, good friend of the show, Liam Emery, got in touch with us and said that in terms of your own footy,
Yes.
that you are a 2-time reserves, which is what we love, being the Magoo's premiership player, but you've also ticked off a 19s flag and a senior flag. So
That's correct.
in your own right, do you think James Hird ever thinks the guy I hugged is actually legit?
Yeah,
He's a real.
I'd like to think so. You know, I like to think so.
That's a pretty good feat. Like, honestly, like
Triple.
the
just
triple.
going
Not
through.
many people would get that, would they?
2-time Magoo's premiership player.
2-time Magoos.
We might have to make this a 3.
2
I reckon,
times
yeah.
ones.
Of course, yeah.
2-time
yeah.
ones as well.
Yeah.
So that's the
But the
five.
2006 one doesn't count, I've been told.
Why is that?
Girls Division 2.
Oh,
Yeah, I was there the day that you were told that didn't count. That was,
Yeah. It's interesting.
It was an interesting, interesting little touch. I'd still be counting it.
Yeah,
Just
oh,
for-
I did.
Yeah,
I still
that
am.
weekend still would have counted.
Yeah, the tattoo's on there, so it's got to count, doesn't it?
That counts.
And again from Instagram, Reese has asked, as a vital player, how often are you asked by the coaches now that you're sort of settled into the Magoo's lineup at is it Greensboro you're playing at? That's
Yes,
right. Yes.
yes,
It's just back there playing after a bit of a vacation.
Yes, that's correct.
How many times a week do you get asked by the coaches about how's your body and will you be right for the game?
Oh, well, after every Saturday, is you right to go next week? And then when I'm in training Tuesday, not doing much, it's like, you be right for Saturday? Yeah, I'll be right. And then do a half session Thursday, like, yeah, I'm right, Wayne. Yeah,
Half
On
a
the
session.
10-day contract.
yeah exactly.
Great. So I'm just gonna open up to Ben here because Ben's just been so excited.
I'm just like a kid in the candy store. I'm just
He
big
just-
smile.
just went and ran and got his bombers.
Yeah, I
flag
got
and
this,
scarf
but
and-
I actually also had ducked off to the local Kmart
Yes.
a little early to print off the original photo that actually
there we
took
go.
place. And little does a lot of people know that if you actually look in the background here, I was
you are.
actually there that day.
You were the
as
one
well.
reaching over for the hug as
I was
well.
reaching over. Haven't aged a bit.
Yeah,
mind you.
it's
This
incredible, isn't
This is 14
Incredible,
years ago. But I might get you to sign that one after.
sure
so,
thing.
Yeah. I don't get many signatures actually. I've only ever had 3 in one. This would be my
You could have
third.
been in this seat if it was in the
Yeah,
way around.
imagine that.
Well, that's it.
Imagine
Yeah,
that. You
one
could
of
have been
the
the man.
most recent was when I was about 12 from Michelle Timms. Bumped into Michelle Timms,
there you
ex
go.
WNBL player. She said, "Shoot for the stars," Michelle Timms on a napkin.
Well, there you go.
It was great.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Thank you.
So just one last one, Drew, before we let you go. Thanks very much for your time. But your current Facebook profile picture is you hugging your lovely wife.
Yes.
Where does that? Where does the James Hird hug rank? You're obviously a big hugger.
Yes.
Where does it rank in all the hugs that you've had? Because one of your old profile pictures is, of course, you and James Hird hugging.
Which was there for a long time.
Yeah.
I had to change it. You've got to have the wife there. But the James Hird hug it's pretty good.
You couldn't just Photoshop her head on Jimmy. Just keep a little bit of.
I've thought about it.
Best of both worlds. Anyway, Drew, thank you very, very much for coming in and
No worries.
and joining us this afternoon. Great to hear that you're a 2-time Magoo's premiership player. Can continue to live on that legacy. Hopefully, you
will.
can add a few more.
Maybe
to
we'll
them.
have one this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
That'd
got
be nice,
any businesses to plug or Instagram pages you don't know about?
Not so much.
No,
No.
not even what you're working for. Just
Oh well, if you want Willpower Electrical Services,
for it.
there you go. Yeah, we can. The electrician.
Yeah.
Willpower
Brought to us
Electrical
by
Services.
Willpower Electrical Services.
There you go. Maybe we can be a future sponsor for you.
There you go.
That'd be
This
great.
week's episode proudly brought to you by Willpower Electrical Services.
I like it. That's a
Excellent.
good ring.
All right. Well, sounds good. Drew, thanks very much for coming
welcome,
and sharing
boys.
your story
Thanks
with
heaps,
us.
Drew. Cheers.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Okay, Magoo's viewers, a real treat there. Thanks very much to Drew Wilson,
It was
a.k.a. the man James Hird hugged. I'd be writing a book if I was him. I think,
Yeah, you wouldn't get. Yeah, that's why I got his autograph actually.
on that signed little
This is,
fake picture that you made up there.
Many hugs, Drew.
Incredible.
That'll be up on here in frame next week. Don't you worry about that.
Many hugs. Sound advice.
Many hugs. Yeah.
Hug well and hug often.
Don't touch Willie.
Good advice. So, Benny, another episode for us in the books.
Yeah.
Another great guest.
Yep.
We're
Yep.
flying at the moment, aren't we? Just
I'm loving it.
flying.
It's just good fun, just sinking in the couch, talking.
Yeah.
Bit of
talking
this,
shop
bit of that
with the
about the
lads, eh?
football.
So thank you very much, Magoo's community. Make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, share. We're on iTunes and all your favourite podcast apps. So search the Magoo's podcast there. Or just keep watching us on YouTube. Stay tuned to all the socials.
Even feel free to give us a review on iTunes. That helps with the reach and
for sure. So
all that jazz.
Yeah, make sure you do all that. And we will see you next week for another fresh episode of the Magoos. And cut.